Today's review focuses on the VS Factory's upgraded V2 version of the Datejust 126334 with a blue dial. This is the V1, and this is the V2. First, I'll walk you through the upgrades, focusing on the visually apparent enhancements in craftsmanship. After that, I'll provide a detailed breakdown of this specific timepiece, creating a comprehensive video reference for the future. Regarding the dial color, there are no significant upgrades to the blue. The texture of the Sunburst finish is also quite similar. I don't see any obvious differences, even when magnified. The shape of the hour markers remains consistent. What you're seeing now is the V1. And this is the V2. The shape of the hour markers hasn't changed much, and the overall execution is the same as before. From a side profile, you can notice that the crystal's height and the polishing of its edge are different. The V1's crystal appears slightly higher, while the V2 sits a bit lower. Furthermore, when viewed from this angle, the V1's edge already had a rounded, polished bevel. However, when you look at the V2, you'll find that this beveled edge is much more pronounced. It's more rounded than the V1. Next, let's talk about the upgrades to the Fluted bezel. First, its width has been made slightly narrower. Second, its overall finishing has been improved. It's claimed that the brightness is increased, but under identical lighting conditions, desk lamp, indoor lights, and sunlight I've compared them, I can perceive a significant increase in brightness on the V2. However, I believe it will offer improved anti-oxidation properties. The genuine Rolex bezel is 18,000 white gold. Replica watches use a copper base with platinum plating. As many of you know, plating has a common issue. Over an extended period of wear, it can oxidize, and impacts or scratches can cause the base layer to be exposed, leading to discoloration. But even with normal wear and without any impacts, it can still oxidize and fade. For example, I've sold many of these V1 South, and a few about 2R3 experienced bezel oxidation. What happens is that patches appear a spot here, a spot there where the color is inconsistent with the surrounding area, making it look mottled. That's the kind of problem it is. Once this occurs, the watch becomes unwearable. You have to spend money to replace the bezel to continue wearing it. Otherwise, the watch is ruined. Because once that spotty discoloration appears, the color and brightness are inconsistent with other areas, and it just doesn't look good. Now, for the weight, there have been some changes. Let's first weigh the old V1 version. It weighs 128 grams. Now let's weigh the V2. It's 132 grams. I checked the weight of a genuine 126,334 with a 41mm gray diamond dial, and its weight is around 133 plus grams. This one is 132 plus grams, and it's fully wrapped in protective film, whereas the genuine one was not. So, compared to the genuine watch, it will be slightly lighter, but a difference of 2 to 3 grams is negligible. The main weight difference is concentrated in the bezel. The genuine is 18,000 white gold, which has a higher density. For the same volume, white gold will naturally be heavier, while copper or steel will be lighter. But this weight difference is now practically negligible. A 2 to 3 gram difference is unnoticeable. Even if you hold a VS Factory V2 in one hand and a genuine watch in the other, you basically can't discern a 3 to 5 gram difference by hand. It has now progressed to the point where you can no longer use simple methods to verify if it's a genuine Dandong 3235 movement. In the past, you could use methods like checking the date adjustment and power reserve to differentiate. Later, to distinguish between Shanghai and Dandong 3235 movements, you could check the position of the fast-slow adjustment screw on the balance bridge. Now, you need to use more rigorous methods to confidently determine if it's a genuine Dandong 3235. And not one of the imitation Dandong 3235s. The level of replication is extremely high. If you're not an expert, you might not be able to tell the difference. So I'll use a few images to compare for you. First is the commonly discussed screw on the balance bridge. On the VS version using the genuine Dandong 3235, this screw is functional. Turning it adjusts the height of the balance bridge. On this fake Dandong 3235, it is just a decorative screw. You can unscrew it completely. It will reveal a screw hole underneath. It doesn't serve to adjust the balance bridge height. So that's an imitation, a fake. Next is the location shown in this magnified image. The cutout on the genuine Dandong 3235 is larger, resembling a large semicircle. On this one, the cutout is smaller. Much smaller. This is a very obvious difference. There's also a difference in the movement finishing. The Dandong movement looks more refined. On the imitation Dandong 3235, the finishing lines are very coarse. When light hits it, you can even see a rainbow-like laser effect. Next is the clutch wheel for the automatic winding train. This area here and the one below it. This one has a flat surface. This one, however, is not a flat surface. It looks like it has concentric rings, similar to the back of a screw head. It looks as if a screw was inserted from behind and then blocked off. This is also easy to differentiate. One is flat, one is not. But be careful not to look at the wrong part. Don't confuse it with the gear below it, which is the same on both. You need to look at the one above, behind the 3235 inscription. Next are these two red reversing wheels. The difference here isn't huge. If you look closely with the naked eye, then have them side by side, you can tell the difference in color. The genuine Dandong 3235's color is a deeper red than the imitation. But you really need a reference piece to compare. Otherwise, the imitation's red is actually quite deep on its own. This has already been discussed. The difference in finishing. Then there's this gear, which is slightly different. You can see it has this shape. On this one, it looks like a piece has been cut out. You can see the difference when you compare them. So, when you receive the watch and want to verify if it's genuine, you need to check multiple aspects to avoid being deceived. Next is the rotor bearing. I'll use this 3255 movement to explain. The rotor bearing can have either 7 or 27 ball bearings. The 27 ball version is the newer, full bearing design. However, VS Factory uses both versions interchangeably for its V1 and V2. Some have 7 balls, some have 27. This doesn't have a significant impact. Now, let's look at the finishing details on the front of the watch. First, the dial color and the intricacy of the Sunburst finish are executed exceptionally well. The color is extremely close to the genuine article. It completely surpasses what would be considered close enough at a social distance. It's even better than that. The polishing on the edges of the hands shows no obvious burrs or imperfections. The hour markers are also well made. However, the edges of the hands lack a bit of that rounded feel. A slightly more rounded polish would make them even better. The shape of the crown logo is well executed, as is its polishing. The white printed text, its 3D effect, and its crispness are all problem-free. The luminous fill has this matte texture. The beveled edges on the base of the hour markers have also been replicated. The date window has a very clear blue anti-reflective coating on the cyclops, which is correct. The date font is thick and bold, which is also correct. Furthermore, the black font has a glossy, three-dimensional effect that creates a very noticeable reflection. This is very well done. The laser-etched crown is present at the 6 o'clock position. However, you need to find a specific angle to see it. From other angles, it's not as easily visible. The sapphire crystal's transparency is excellent. The polishing on the crystal's edge is much more rounded than the old version. Additionally, the height of the crystal has been reduced, resulting in a thinner overall profile. It's not much thinner, just by about 0.1 mm, but it is slimmer than the previous V1. Next is the bezel. In terms of brightness, I don't feel it's significantly brighter than the V1. However, the improved craftsmanship will certainly enhance its resistance to oxidation and corrosion. As everyone knows, plated finishes are most vulnerable to corrosive liquids and heavy abrasion. If you scratch it deeply, creating a gouge, the base material underneath will definitely be exposed. The other factor is corrosive liquids. From my experience with plated watches, both my own and those of my clients, discoloration and fading are always caused by either abrasion or exposure to corrosive liquids. Specifically, I've had a few clients who sweat profusely, especially in the summer. The plated watches they wear tend to fade much faster than for those who sweat less. The durability is somewhat lower. So, for watches with this type of plated finish that are susceptible to sweat corrosion, you can frequently rinse them with clean water. But definitely don't use things like alcohol. Just use normal clean water to rinse it. Its water resistance is excellent. The crown is screwed down tightly. Just give it a rinse with water, then blow dry or wipe it dry. Regarding the finishing on the steel parts, the brush lines are very well defined, and the polished sections are very bright. This is its clasp, which also features a distinct opening. The clasp code is still K6G, same as before. The depth and thickness of the engraving are also unchanged. There aren't many significant differences. Let me demonstrate the movement's functions. Unscrew the crayon counterclockwise. A few turns and it will pop out. This is for manual winding. Pull it out one stop to adjust the date. At this time, the hour hand is in the upper half of the dial, so don't adjust the date directly. Pull it out another stop and move the hour hand to the lower half. Push the crown all the way in, then pull it out one stop again to adjust the date. The detent for this function is very crisp and distinct. Pull it out another stop to adjust the time. Rotating counterclockwise moves the hands forward. This is all correct. To secure the crown, push it inwards while turning it clockwise until it's tight.